Hey guys, my name is Nikki and I want to welcome you here to Carry Grace. Alright, so I realized that I have been using the Flylady's Cleaning System for 1 year. So today I'm going to share with you my journey, some of the ups, some of the downs, some of the things that I've learned, some of the things that maybe I've changed, and things like that. So let's jump right into today's video. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is kind of share with you what I learned about myself through this journey. Now, I'm going to kind of start back at the beginning. A year ago, I found myself looking yet again for a new cleaning routine. Now, I was not one of those people that had major issues with clutter. I didn't have major issues with cleaning. My kitchen was clean every night before I went to bed. Most days, not every day, I was pretty good about making my bed. I had a pretty decent laundry routine, but I was really struggling to get to all of the things all of the time. As I continued to go through the system, I realized that I was basically on a journey and on the hunt for the perfect cleaning system. And when I started in a new system and maybe I missed a Monday, whatever that task was, or maybe I skipped something for the week or whatever, I would beat myself up and consider myself a failure. Now, going through the Flylady system, I really kind of focused on listening to the Flylady when I went through the 31 baby steps and just really taking to heart some of the things that she talks about. And I realized that my biggest problem was not a cleaning routine. It wasn't staying organized. It was perfectionism. And I am here to tell you that you really can overcome this. You just have to allow yourself time to grow. You have to kind of recognize what's going on and you have to make some changes. So here we are a year later. My house stays pretty clean. I now have routines that I really like. And I know that if I miss a Monday or I miss whatever I was supposed to do on Tuesday, or maybe I skipped a whole week of zone cleaning, my world is not going to fall apart. My house is not going to completely fall apart. I haven't failed as a mother, as a wife, as a homemaker. I just have to get up the next day and do the best I can. And that has been huge for me. Okay, so a couple of things. One thing that I did, and this is just kind of what I needed to do for myself, is I recognized that I tended to jump from one cleaning routine to another. Now, sometimes it was me researching cleaning routines and trying to duplicate somebody else's routine. Sometimes it was me sitting down and trying to formulate the perfect routine. But like I said, because I was looking for perfection, I was setting myself up to fail. One thing I did for me though this time around when I started the Flylady system is I told myself that I really needed to give it a year. I needed to stick with this routine for 1 year and I couldn't stop. Obviously, it was okay if I needed to tweak things, but for me, it was so much easier to not give myself an out. And for that reason, I really stuck with the system and I really figured out the parts of the system that I needed to tweak and kind of rework to work just right for me. And I can honestly say that now I am not overwhelmed with my house. I don't clean my house all day, every day. I'm not overwhelmed with housework. People normally have clean clothes in my house. I would not be embarrassed if somebody were to stop by my house most days because we have routines. I've established routines and things flow pretty well now. I do want to mention a video. I will leave it linked down below. It's a video that I did a month or so ago where I talk about the a quick start to the Flylady system. And in that video, I really talk about how I learned to break down the system so that I could understand it in smaller chunks and learn to make those chunks fit and work for me in my home. The Flylady system is a great overall system, and if you watch that video, you'll see how the main system kind of has 4 main parts. And I kind of have learned that everybody's house is different, everybody's stage of life is different. What worked for me this month may not work for me in a couple of months because y'all, life comes up, things happen, things change. One thing I do want to mention in this video is we had major life change through this year. We moved to a new state. It was a big deal for us because we had lived in our area for over 25 years, and that's just kind of where we were from, where we lived, and making the decision to completely move to a new place, for us it was a big deal. But for me, because I had already learned like routines and zone cleaning and things like that, my house didn't feel like it was a complete disaster. I was able to pick right back up with routines when we moved, and that really kept things moving smoothly. If you are somebody that has started the Flylady system and you're having trouble sticking with it, or maybe you are researching the Flylady system and you're trying to find out if it's right for you, I am going to encourage you to really just jump in. Jump in where you're at. Throw perfection out the window and just know that every day, if you can progress a little bit, that is so much better than being perfect, because y'all, we're not going to be perfect. As moms, as wives, as women, some days we have to prioritize other things. Some days, maybe my morning routine doesn't get done before 9 o'clock. Maybe some days I'm still doing my morning routine at 11 or 11:30 because I had something else that had to take priority. Maybe on Tuesday, I didn't do my whatever task that I was going to do, or I didn't get to my zone cleaning because I needed to take a child somewhere, or I needed to do something for my husband, or maybe I just didn't feel awesome that day. It is okay, because when you have routines, when you are able to come back to what it is that you want to focus on, you know where to start, you know where to jump right back in. You're not behind, you just jump in where you're at and you keep going, and you continue to build progress that way. All right, so what have I changed about the Flylady system? I have definitely changed some things. Now, I have a morning routine, I have an evening routine, and I set up those routines to work for me. They're not exactly the way the Flylady has them listed out, but I do have some of the major components. I do my best to get up and get dressed every day. I don't always wear shoes, and that's just a personal thing. Shoes make me hot. I live in Florida. Actually, I didn't really like wearing shoes when we didn't live in Florida, but I don't like wearing shoes, so most of the time I don't. In my evening routine, I always make sure that my kitchen is cleaned before I go to bed, sink is shined, cleaned out, all of those good things. I also make sure that I do kind of like a quick tidy every day, and I have those things built into my morning and evening routine. Then one of the other components of the Flylady system is the weekly home blessing hour. As part of the weekly home blessing hour, there are 6 or 7 main tasks that you really just kind of focus on in the main areas of your home. You only spend about 10 minutes on each task, and you just work very quickly, and you're not trying to do necessarily a super thorough job. You're just going through and getting those things done. Now, one thing that I do a little bit different is I don't usually do all of those things on one day. I do kind of space mine out through the day. There are some of the things in the weekly home blessing that I don't do. They are things that I have delegated to my children and things like that. The other thing that I do just a little bit differently is I don't necessarily stop right at 10 minutes. I have found that specifically with vacuuming, dusting, and mopping, that I like to do things just a little bit more thorough. And that's not me trying to be a perfectionist. That is really just, it just works better in our home that way. So one of the reasons is because we are a homeschool family. So my family is basically here all day, every day. We do have pets, and I find that the rooms, they really just need to be vacuumed more frequently. So I do try to do a more thorough job, but I do it very quickly and it doesn't take long at all. Same thing with mopping and dusting. I usually we'll go ahead and dust not just the living areas, but a lot of times I do a quick dust in the children's bedrooms and our office and things like that. And it's simply because we're here a lot. Those rooms are getting used a lot. And so I do that, and that's just what I feel like I need to do for my home. The next big component of the Flylady system that I've tweaked a little bit are the daily focuses. The Flylady has a daily focus for each day of the week. Some of mine are the same, some of mine are a little bit different. I have kind of combined my weekly home blessing with my daily focuses and kind of made a schedule that works really well for me. I do talk about that in other videos, so I will leave those videos down below. But that is the thing that I really appreciate about the Flylady system is you take the basics, you take the core, and you work off of that and you tweak it to make it work for you. All right, so the last thing that is the main component of the Flylady system is zone cleaning. And zone cleaning is kind of how I ended up back to the Flylady system. I really enjoy cleaning my home through zone cleaning. I really like the idea of just focusing on one area each week and doing a deep clean in that area and then moving to another area the next week. It works really well. I find that it really helps me kind of structure things. Like if I know there's something that I need to either declutter or organize or some kind of project, I try to set it up kind of in my planner or in my brain. Just kind of, I try to schedule it so that it lands in that week that I'm already going to be in that zone. Does that always happen? Absolutely not. Sometimes there are things that come up and you just have to take care of them right away. But when I can plan, I try to do it that way because it just kind of simplifies and I'm already going to be in that space doing stuff. So it just works really well. The biggest thing that I'm thinking about changing with zone cleaning, I haven't done it yet, but I have noticed that since we moved to our home in Florida that I don't feel like I'm really getting to all of my zones properly. I don't feel like I'm getting to my laundry room as often as I would like to, and also our office. So I'm trying to kind of work out, do I need to just adjust my zones or do I want to not follow the actual zone schedule that the Flylady has laid out? Now there are 5 zones with the Flylady system, and the first week and then the last week of the month, kind of depending on how those weeks fall, sometimes you'll just have a couple days in zone 1 and then a couple days in zone 5, or maybe the other way around. Sometimes I feel like zone 1 or zone 5 kind of gets completely overlooked. So I'm thinking about just rotating through the zones. It will put me on a little bit of a different schedule if I do it that way. So that's one thing that I'm still kind of working out. I don't know if I'm just going to restructure my zones and maybe move some rooms to a different zone in my home, or if I'm just going to completely rotate through the zones so that I finish one zone completely before I move to the next. But there again, that's one thing about the Flylady system that is so great is she gives you the structure, she gives you the basics, and you can make this work for you, whatever that looks like in your home. All right, guys, so that is kind of my Flylady journey through the first year kind of summarized. It has been a good thing for me. The biggest change, like I said, has kind of been a heart change and kind of understanding some things about myself and learning to let go of perfection and really be okay with just progress. It has been huge. I'm definitely seeing that I tend to do the same thing in some other areas in my life, but now that I'm aware of it and kind of understand it, it will be a lot easier for me to make those changes in those areas. You guys, if you have any questions about the Flylady system, or if you are new to the system, or maybe you don't understand the system, or you just have questions, or maybe you need help trying to figure out how you can make it work for you, leave me a comment down below. I'm always happy to answer questions. I will also leave some videos down below that I feel like will help you if you are trying to kind of figure out the system for yourself. I will have those listed in the description box down below, but if you have any specific questions for me regarding the Flylady system, or maybe you have a video idea, something that you would like for me to address in a separate video, please leave that down below. All right, guys, the Flylady system has been a major thing for me. It's been a huge success. It's nice to not have to think about cleaning my house all the time. I really enjoy having routines. I enjoy knowing exactly what I'm supposed to do every day. I also like knowing that if I don't get to it that day, or exactly when I'm supposed to get to it in that day, that I can just move on to the next thing the next day and things are going to be okay. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new to my channel and not already subscribed, please consider subscribing down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next week.
And still I'm caught by surprise. I thought you'd always be mine. I guess our dreams fell asleep. There's no passion in the comatose. Baby, going down.